Anyway, back to it. I think, your first job that you were a teller. You learned process. You learned that accountability we talked about. Your first leadership position, I think, is also where you take a big step. And for me, it was in consulting, and it was at Accenture, which was Anderson at the time. And I had 3 high-performing young people. They were all A performers, but I had to learn how to manage the A performers. And I was glad I got to do it with a small team, because I think I had to learn that a lot. Because I don't know how many people can go from leading nobody to leading 400 people, or leading, you have to learn as you go. What do you think one of your biggest leadership lessons you learned in your first supervision position?
Yeah, I think a big one was not everyone thinks like you do, Courtney.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that suck?
Yeah.
That should be I'm assuming that's the first thing you teach people when they hire you for the leadership training.
That is a core. I have a slide that has the manager who told me that. Her name is Karen. I have a slide with Karen's face on it that says, not everyone thinks like you do, Courtney.
Karen says, not everybody thinks like you, Courtney.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
Yes. And it wasn't exactly a compliment. It was her encouraging me to understand that I had unique gifts and strengths and abilities, and other people did too, and they were different. And, if somebody thought of something differently, or it didn't come as easily to them as it did to me, it didn't mean that there was something wrong with them and they just needed to get on board. It meant I needed to recognize there's different strengths and gifts here. So it was a huge self-awareness thing.
It wasn't that you were the nice wallflower, and that's what she was saying, is that, hey, Courtney, you're being a little too nice to everybody. I got a feel in CPA, you might have been a little short with people. Going, what are you, a moron?
Are you superimposing yourself on our guest a little bit?
I'm just asking if she's in the same Colby.
Have you heard of Iowa nice or Midwest nice? So I'm from Iowa.
I don't know this.
Ooh, yeah.
What does that mean?
So culturally, we are nice and kind, whether we mean it or not. So there's a little
I've seen it at the Iowa State game personally. They couldn't even insult each other. I'm like, that's how you insult people? I'm like, come on, I'll show you how to do this. I'm from Michigan.
So I think for me, the way it was showing up was in my impatience. I wanted things to move more quickly. Which again, this is a difference in my wiring. A lot of CPAs, people that are good with financial analysis, are wired for minimizing risk, change, and uncertainty. And I'm actually wired for innovation. I like risk, change, and uncertainty. I want to initiate action. I want to try something. I want to do something. And that could be frustrating for me if people didn't catch on as quickly, or they were pushing against change, or, if something's not working, I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be this way. Let's change it. But most of the people around me,
did it with a smile, and you offer them a little corn cob, maybe a little, we can have a little barbecue.
Corn cob.
Well, she's from Iowa. There's so much flipping of corn there, bro. When I was there, oh my God. I was like, oh my, you guys are the corn capital. And
I could have said a casserole or a baked good, but you go straight corn cob? I did. Insulting.
Well, Alan, we've been doing this for how long now? Yeah. And you've been my friend for how long? We know that's what I do. And Courtney's going to sit there and smile because she's Iowa nice. Going,
that's right.
I can't believe I signed up for this shit. Okay.
Yeah. The corn on the cob is a little seasonal, but that's fine. We'll go with it.
Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop.
You get that look.
I've got that look in my face. We're back, guys. Oh my God, it's another great week. I hope you guys are killing it out there, playing business, playing really hard at business, and not just playing at business. Play in the business, play on the business, play around the business, play with the business. Or
you're obsessed with the word play right now.
I am.
Where are we going with this?
Because we played yesterday, Alan.
Oh, we did.
Alan and I had a former podcast guest, but also a good friend of Alan, who said, guys, I want to take you on this country club and play at this swanky golf course that Alan knows very well. And we snuck out and started at 2:30 in the afternoon in the fall and actually got all 18 in. Now, could we see anything on 18? No.
Could we see anything on 17?
No.
Could we see much on 16?
Only where the ball went short. That was it. But we got him in, everybody, and it was an awesome time. Great listener. Been on the podcast before, and we've had both of those guys on the podcast.
And he was celebrating a big deal.
He was celebrating a big deal, which that's why I say we're playing here. I want to say we should take some credit for that, Alan. I mean, when somebody closes
that's a good
and
idea.
exits their biz and gets a great deal, I think I got to say it's the small business safari, bringing on the exit coaches we've had, talking all those things, helping him get his business together. I take credit.
Well, and we did try to take credit because we pushed the bet up to 16 million on the last second to the last hole. I can't remember where we ended up.
We played the last hole for $16 million. We pushed all the way to that because that's kind of the big rollers. We don't play for quarters. We don't play for 50 cents. We don't play for dollar bills. We definitely don't play for pennies anymore because they're not anymore. Although I did just go use cash and I got pennies back. I'm like, oh, can't wait for these things to be
Are
great.
you sad about the penny? I mean, I got to ask an accountant.
All right. So,
I'm
Courtney,
okay with it.
your first hardest question. Your first hardest question is, are you okay with the penny going away?
I am. I've accepted it and I've moved on. I actually, when I was in high school and college, I worked as a bank teller, and so I do, hold actual cash and coin near and dear, but I think it's okay.
Oh my gosh. There you go, everybody. If Courtney can let it go, you can let it go. And boy, you hit on something before I guess we got to introduce her first. Then I'm going to go back to the teller. So Courtney, and I'm going to kill your last name because it's not.
Well, have her say it.
Yeah. Courtney, introduce yourself.
I am Courtney Ronde.
Oh, I would have gotten it wrong.
Thanks for the admission.
I know, but hey, she had been to move on, so I'm moving on. Courtney, CPA, not wired like the rest of us, but not wired like a normal CPA. We're going to get in some really good conversations about how she sees things in business, how she's helped people in business, how she can help you in business. But I got to go back to the teller. I've heard somebody tell me that one of the best jobs you can possibly get, and when I say somebody, I'm talking about Ed Crutchfield, who was the CEO of First Union. And I was sitting there in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it was every year he does the State of the Union. And he said, the best job you could ever have is to be a teller because you have to be able to count money. You have to be able to interact with people with their most important asset, which is their money. You have to reconcile and be accountable to yourself throughout the entire day. And you have to smile while you're doing it standing up. How do you feel about that?
I think you nailed it. Yes. I mean, that was definitely my experience. And one of the things I loved about it was the customer service aspect. I mean, back in that time, and this is, 25 years ago, people came into the bank. There were regular people who came into the bank. And so you really did build connections and relationships with customers. There were also commercial customers that would come in every day to, bring in a big deposit. And so
bringing in the old money bag.
Yes, exactly. Bringing in a money bag. And I also learned, I remember one of the first things that the head teller trained me on was the importance of following a consistent process. Because if I would do things the same way each time, even if I got into conversation or if somebody was upset or somebody distracted me, I knew the order in which I did things. And you were much less likely to make a mistake if you followed a process. And so that was something I learned early on. And standing on your feet was also a significant component of that job that I remember,
that's a good
once
point.
I would go back to being a teller after, if I was at college and I'd go back for summer break, it took a while to get used to standing up all day again.
And smiling and being thankful for doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, 25 years ago, so Ed Crutchfield was the CEO of First Union. And every year he would talk about this year's crop of college graduates coming into the bank did not have this in their life. And he would go back and do the chronology. And it was always, I was there and got to listen to him for 3 years in a row, 97, 98, 99. And it was so interesting. But he's the one who talked about the teller and the experience. And I when as soon as you brought that up, I was like, that's one I keep forgetting to tell people because I actually went to in the manufacturing world and had no customer service skills whatsoever. because I interface with machines, Alan. I interface with, I don't
That
like
explains
people.
a lot.
Right. And this is why I'm in the home service business now and going, God, I hate people.
You know, Courtney, you don't know, I'm in commercial real estate. Yesterday, we were actually working with a bank looking for a new location, which was very interesting because he's like, yeah, I don't need a vault. I'm like, what? And he goes, and I go, what about safety deposit boxes? And I'm like, nah, people don't use those anymore. Maybe in a rural area where it's an elderly clientele. And I'm like, oh man, everything I know from banks about movies is not true anymore.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So I have a safe deposit box.
Do you really?
I really do.
He told a cool story. He goes, there was a woman whose husband unfortunately passed away. She had a safety deposit box, never did anything with it, and then finally a few years later went to the bank and said, yeah, my husband had a safety deposit box. I don't know what's in it. They didn't have a key. They had to drill it open. He'd been stuffing stock certificates in there. She was a multi-millionaire.
Oh,
had no idea.
Wow.
I'm like,
well, if you come
you should
just
go
into
to
my
that
branch, you're going to be sorely disappointed when you open up my,
You got your
box. And
rabbit's foot in there and your first casino chip you ever won.
I got my favorite penny,
Yeah, that's right.
which is going to be worth at least 3 cents. Yeah. So, Courtney, tell us a little bit about what you do now, and then we're going to back up and how you get into this.
Yeah. So I started my career in public accounting as a CPA and moved into leadership. Over my career, I built teams. I built departments. I built an audit practice, virtual CFO and controller practice, and eventually became the CEO and managing partner and got out of client service, started really serving our firm through leadership and business development, and eventually launched a management consulting practice. So within the firm. So really taking some of the things I learned from my own leadership and business ownership journey, and creating a framework and a system to help those leaders through some of the things that I learned. You know, what surprised me as I grew in my career was it wasn't the technical side of the work that we did that was challenging. It was how the more successful we got, the more we grew, the heavier the leadership and ownership side of the business started to feel. You know, there's just more decisions to make, more people depending on you, more people looking for answers. And finance had really trained me to look for patterns. And leadership gave me a lot of lived experience. And that combination really served as a foundation for building this framework that I created to make sense of what I was experiencing. And then eventually I formalized it in a way that I could now teach it to others. So I do private consulting, one-on-one coaching, and then we also have a group leadership program called Scaling Leader. And I still lead my firm. I still have a whole bunch of CPAs and advisors on my team, but most of my time is split between leading the leaders of those departments in our firm and our overall vision and strategy, and then serving our clients through our Scaling Leader program.
So I've written a book. I think I might have mentioned that before, Alan.
Yeah, 5,000 times. But go ahead, 5,001.
But in my book, what I talk about
What's the name of it again?
From the Zoo to the Wild. You can pick it up on Amazon, and if you let me know about it, I will sign one and send it to you. Anyway, back to it. I think, you know, your first job that you were a teller. You learned process. You learned that accountability we talked about. Your first leadership position, I think, is also where you take a big step. And you know, for me, it was in consulting, and it was at Accenture, which was Anderson at the time. And I had 3 high-performing young people who are all A performers, but I had to learn how to manage the A performers. And I was glad I got to do it with a small team, because I think I had to learn that a lot. Because I don't know how many people can go from leading nobody to leading 400 people, or leading, you know, you have to learn as you go. What do you think one of your biggest leadership lessons you learned in your first supervision position? Do you have what it takes to start your own business? Are you tired of the 9-to-5 corporate job and ready to make that leap into entrepreneurship? Then you need to check out From the Zoo to the Wild, the new book by successful entrepreneur Chris LaLamia. This book is a unique perspective on the journey into the wild world of home services and delivering excellence in service while working in customers' homes. Follow Me shares his path to success in this industry, including proven customer relationship strategies, award-winning customer experience processes, and a unique approach to training a team of service technicians to perform at the highest levels. Whether you're a small business trying to scale or a franchise operation, From the Zoo to the Wild will give you the mindset, habits, leadership style, and customer-oriented processes to succeed as a small business owner in the home services space. So if you're ready to take control of your future, get your copy of From the Zoo to the Wild today, available on Amazon.
Yeah, I think a big one was not everyone thinks like you do, Courtney.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that suck?
Yeah.
That should be I'm assuming that's the first thing you teach people when they hire you for the leadership training.
That is a core. I mean, I have a slide that has the manager who told me that. Her name is Karen. I have a slide with Karen's face on it that says, "Not everyone thinks like you do, Courtney."
Karen says, not everybody thinks like you, Courtney.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
Yes. And it wasn't exactly a compliment. It was her encouraging me to understand that I had unique gifts and strengths and abilities, and other people did too, and they were different. And, if somebody thought of something differently or it didn't come as easily to them as it did to me, it didn't mean that there was something wrong with them and they just needed to get on board. It meant I needed to recognize there's different strengths and gifts here. So it was a huge self-awareness
thing. It wasn't
thing.
that you were the nice wallflower, and that's what she was saying, is that, hey, Courtney, you're being a little too nice to everybody. I got a feel in CPA, you might have been a little short with people. Going, what are you, a moron?
Are you superimposing yourself on our guest
I'm just asking if she's in the same Colby
have you heard
quadrants.
of Iowa nice or Midwest nice? So I'm from Iowa.
I don't know this.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So culturally, we are nice and kind, whether we mean it or not. So there's a little
I've seen it
passive
at the
aggressiveness
Iowa
there.
State game personally. They couldn't even insult each other. I'm like, that's how you insult people? I'm like, come on, I'll show you how to do this. I'm from Michigan.
So I think for me, the way it was showing up was in my impatience. I wanted things to move more quickly. Which again, this is a difference in my wiring. A lot of CPAs, people that are good with financial analysis, are wired for minimizing risk, change, and uncertainty. And I'm actually wired for innovation. I like risk, change, and uncertainty. I want to initiate action. I want to try something. I want to do something. And that could be frustrating for me if people didn't catch on as quickly, or they were pushing against change, or, if something's not working, I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be this way. Let's change it. But most of the people
you
around
did it with
me
a smile, and you
back.
offer them a little corn cob, maybe a little, we can have a little barbecue.
Corn cob.
Well, she's from Iowa. There's so much flipping of corn there, bro. When I was there, oh my God. I was like, oh my, you guys are the corn capital.
I mean, I could have said a casserole or a baked good, but you go straight corn cob. I mean, that's insulting.
Well, Alan, we've been doing this for how long now? Yeah. And you've been my friend for how long? We know that's what I do. And Courtney's going to sit there and smile because she's Iowa nice. Going,
that's right.
I can't believe I signed up for this shit. Okay.
Yeah. The corn on the cob is a little seasonal, but that's fine. We'll go with it.
Oh, so you can only do it certain times of the year.
It's correct. That's right. I got a whole dissertation on how they grow forward.
This does make me think of something. So we all came from big corporate, and when I got into management, I got sent to management training. I'm assuming you had the same thing, and Courtney, you had the same thing, and a lot of people listening to the show. There's no management training at a big. How many accounting firm?
I didn't start at a big firm. But you go on, Alan. Finish your point.
Please.
But that's actually.
I was just thinking for a lot of our listeners, for those of us that left the corporate world and we were in leadership, odds are we had classic management training of some sort, which comes in handy, and you learn stuff like people aren't necessarily the same, or how to deliver bad news, or how to get people, conflict resolution, all that stuff. But a lot of people listening maybe just started a business on their own, and suddenly they have a bunch of employees and they've got to start hiring leaders, and they have none of that training. And I mean, maybe they've got instincts for it, but wow.
Yeah, no, I agree with Alan. I mean, that leadership, my first foray into it, there was a lot of support and a lot of leadership training that I went through in the middle of it. And let's just say, I wasn't top of my class. I did the same thing. I had to learn a lot. People don't think like you, but that's what makes your team better, is if you can get the best out of everybody and come up with better decisions and better results and better outcomes. And yeah, I get a lot of training
coaching techniques.
Yeah, Accenture
all
was,
that stuff.
and this I probably still are. I mean, that's why I still have stock in that company, because I learned so much there, and it really polished a lot of my rough edges. Believe that or not? I know there was a
Sorry.
lot of edges, friends. I lost Alan.
me that one was
I lost Alan. He just chortled. Courtney.
You mean they used to be rougher?
Oh, 1,000%
Okay.
Oh yeah, I was horrible.
Wow.
Yeah, I was, dude. Yeah, come on. I mean, I didn't know how to deal with people. I mean, I was an engineer. I was I was like Courtney. I felt like I was an innovator and different, and trying to move things. So as you moved on and kept working up, let's go back to Courtney, shall we? Because the therapist
Usually he wants to go back to him, and now I think I've touched a nerve here.
I'm already just.
And you actually want to know what Courtney has to
I got
say.
another one. Oh, we're gonna have to go talk through a whole other set of series of issues. No. So, Courtney, as you learned that, and then you implemented that, how big of a team did you end up getting to? Because I think that's the evolution. You talked about scaling. How did you learn that now they were your direct reports? Now you're influencing your reports of your reports of your reports. How did you learn that technique?
Yeah. So I like I was sharing there, I did not come from a large company. I worked in a small local and somewhat regional accounting firm. But at the height of our firm size, when I became the CEO, we had about 100 employees. I had 7 other shareholders, other equity partners. The team that I first built, the audit practice, ended up being about 15 people. And so really, whether you're leading a large team or a small team, what I learned through that was people have different strengths, gifts, abilities. The more they understand them and leverage them, the more effective they are.
Yeah,
And
well
the more
said.
effective they are, the more they get done. And usually the more fulfilled they are. And people who are fulfilled because they're playing to their strengths are more engaged. They stay longer.
Yeah,
And
less
so
likely to
there's
leave. Yep.
Right?
Yeah. So I mean, it sounds very altruistic, and I am a person of faith, and I do think that is true. But even if you don't buy that side of it, the business case is when people play to their strengths, they're more effective.
Hence
And
the
they're more
word play, Alan.
engaged.
We started with play. We continue with
Yeah,
play.
there you go.
When
Yeah.
you're playing
And
at
so,
work, you're not working.
So I
Good with the
think,
theme.
that's a part of it, is understanding that and recognizing that I don't need to replicate myself across my team. I need people to do the various roles that are needed here. And that's going to require people that think and take action differently than I do. And I have to value those differences and help them leverage them.
All right, let's get into some nitty gritty. So, small group, you start growing a little bit. What are some techniques you can learn early on? So again, we can talk about leveraging their strengths, but some techniques or things that we can put in place in our own businesses to help us.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that helped me grow that first division that I built, the audit practice, was getting really clear about our vision, who we wanted to become. And most audit practices at that time were serving clients all across, geographic areas. There was a lot of travel involved with being an auditor. Most auditors would travel for the whole week. They'd be home on the weekend, and it was long hours. It was compressed into, January, February, March, because a lot of businesses have audit filing deadlines of 90 or 120 days after year end. And I didn't want to build a practice with travel and with compressed work. And so I was clear on that, and I looked for specialized areas of work that we could develop expertise in that spread the work more evenly throughout the year. And I constrained us to same-day travel at that time within Central Iowa. And we built our practice because that was what we wanted. But we were clear enough on it that it became a filter for making decisions. Do we take this client or not? Do they align with who we said we want to become, or do they distract us and push us away?
So who's the one who made that decision on who to let the clients in? because I've heard this before. One of the things you can do as a leader in the company is you keep the jerks out. You let, and I said jerks because she says she was a woman of faith, so I don't want to upset her anymore. That's not the word I would have used. But you decide who comes into your company. How did you filter that? Was that you who made the calls on the clients and the direction?
It was in that situation because I was the audit partner building that practice. And so I was going to be the one signing the reports. I was responsible for growing the area, which meant I got to grow it in a way that aligned with what I wanted, but I also had the responsibility of it. And it can be tempting when even if you're clear about what you want, if you're trying to hit a certain revenue target, or you're trying to hit a growth goal, or you've got people that you've hired and you need to utilize them, it can be tempting to push those boundaries and kind of take, we'll just make an exception here and we'll take this client even though they don't fit. And yeah, we'll go ahead and travel. And yep, we'll add another job into this window of time. And we certainly did that. We've done that over and over again across the different departments that we've built. And then we recognize it and we think, why do we do this? We always regret it when we do this. And so the clearer your filter and the stronger your boundaries are of holding it, the better you're able to build what you actually wanted. But I find a lot of people don't take that step to get clear about what they want. So they don't have a filter. And that filter can help you attract and filter out, attract the right clients, filter out the wrong ones. Same for your team. I was able to recruit and retain people way easier than my counterparts in the profession, because most other audit firms were trying to attract people that were okay being gone all week and, turning their life upside down for the first quarter of the year. And I was clear that's not what I wanted. I didn't want it for me. I didn't want it for my team. And so that clarity, whatever it is for the business, that was just an example of our situation at the time. It can filter your opportunities and it can attract the right clients and the right people.
Did you find that it made your sales process easier? I mean, it takes a little bit of pressure off, and almost you become that. I don't know. I mean, I could see some clients wanting to no, please take me, and you're like, I'm not so sure that you fit in what we're looking for, and you can kind of play hard to get.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It feels like a little bit of reverse psychology. Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest challenge for me was being willing to say no and turn somebody down, especially if you felt any amount of pressure around hitting a revenue target. But again, every time that we made an exception, we regretted it. And so then we just learned to be more intentional, to hold those boundaries. And it absolutely was helpful in filtering out the clients that didn't fit. And, and saying like, I don't know if you're the right fit, or, we've got a window of time here where we're really full. We've got another window of time over here where we're available. If you're willing to let us put your engagement here, in May instead of March, then we can take you. And so it just allowed us to build something that I wanted to be part of. And then it was really easy for me to attract and retain people to be part
Did you
of.
develop like a checklist or an interview question or an intake form? What are those questions you would ask?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We would try to understand what, in this particular case, this was an audit practice. And so most people don't want an audit. They have to have an audit. And so we try to understand who's requiring this. Is it really required? Because sometimes people would be confused about the requirements. And so we're really trying to assess what is the requirement here? What's the timeline that it's under? Is there any flexibility around that? And then it was mostly understanding the risks of the engagement and whether or not it was going to be something that was, a drain on our team or a huge mess that we'd have to clean up. How likely was it that we could hold the scope of what we were estimating? And so, those are things that I think the transferability to anybody that's, delivering professional services or deploying people to serve clients, if you're especially on a project base, we're really trying to understand scope and fit. And can we do what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to do it and be profitable in doing it and not mess up all of our rhythms?
Forgot that part, that profitable part.
And be profitable, yeah.
I forgot that part, yeah. That's funny. So I was thinking the way we could really flip Courtney on edge is bring her to Atlanta and have her say, "Hey, you said 1 day travel, so we're going to put you in Atlanta, and we're going to tell you that you're going to go from Peachtree Corners to Peachtree City. You tell me how you're going to get there." And she's like, "Well, you go north, and then you go west, and then you go east, and then you hit this light, and you go because in Iowa it's all grid." And here, girlfriend, we have no grids. We have no patterns. We have no idea where anybody's going. Atlanta is the only city you can be in Atlanta and still be an hour away from Atlanta. And it just happened to one of my buddies yesterday. So as you navigated that mess that is Atlanta, and you try to put it and make it more like the Iowa grid system in the Midwest, where they all had the ability to make the grids happen. As you do that, how do you find that it's a lot of resistance to get people to follow your process when you're intaking them or bringing them in?
No, what I found was people love it when you're clear and you guide them. And most clients, they don't want to have an audit. They don't want to have somebody asking them for information and, giving them, requesting documents and going through this whole process for weeks at a time on top of all their other work. And so the more effort we put into project management, leading our projects effectively and leading our people on the engagement teams effectively, the more our clients valued our approach. We were great to work with and they knew what to expect. And we were as, least disruptive as we could be. What we did was we looked at the problems that these clients experience with other auditors. It's disruptive. Maybe they're disrespectful. They're condescending. They're trying to act like, the police, like, "Oh, I got you. I found something you did wrong." And it can be very adversarial. And so we just looked at all these things of, why people don't like audits and what's the negative aspect of it. They always go over scope. They say they'll be there for a week and then it pushes into 2 and 3 weeks and all these things. And we just built our processes and systems to try to counteract those. And it really did two things. One, it made it a better experience for the client. And it made it, again, more profitable for us because if we can stay on scope, then we're on budget. If we're on time, then we're not bleeding into the next week when we should be moving on to something else. And we can retain these clients because proposing on the next engagement, and trying to get a renewal, that all takes time and energy. And so it was just being very intentional in how we created the
That's
experience.
exactly how I run my remodeling business. That's why Ellen's laughing. My next business is going to be called Just Give Me 3 More Days Consulting, contracting business. Forget the trusted toolbox. I'm going, just give me 3 more days and I'll have it all done. So you're staying on time. It's got to be so hard to pull all that off, by the way. In your business, once you get a client, is that a repeat business client? Do you continue with them yearly?
Yes. And it's not always a given, but our retention is sky high. We do our audit practice specifically, and we have other areas of our business, but just continuing on the audit path here, we do a lot of nonprofit engagements. They have federal and state funding, and so they have to have an audit to report to the granting agencies. Most nonprofit governance documents would require them to put it out for a competitive proposal every 3 years. So most of our clients are following that guideline and going out for proposal every 3 years. And it's not uncommon for us to have, to win over and over across those cycles because our team is so good to work with and people know what to expect.
So let's pivot to where you are today. So we kept talking about the audit. Tell us what you're doing today and why you came on the podcast to talk about what you're doing.
Yeah. So today, most of my time is split between leading our firm. So I lead our leaders and I'm responsible for vision and strategy of the firm. And then the other balance of my time is really spent developing and delivering content through our management consulting practice. So really all the things that I learned in building the audit practice, the virtual CFO practice, becoming the CEO, all the complexities that I faced and the things that I navigated as a leader and a business owner, I eventually started to see a ton of crossover between that and what our clients were experiencing. And so I ended up building a framework that kind of reverse engineered the principles and tools that I had applied through my journey so that I could help other clients to do the same. And they don't have to go, read all the books I read and listen to the podcast episodes I did and engage the same coaches that I did. I've basically said,
other than
okay.
this one, you mean? I mean, this
Yeah,
one
right.
you
Yes.
want them to listen to.
Yes,
Right. This
exactly.
one's going to be
Listen to this one.
required listening for all people. Anybody who wants to work with Courtney or learn from her, you got to listen to this one because this one's Mac Daddy. But continue.
Yeah, but I took essentially, this, 10, 15 years of experience in what I learned through podcasts and books and coaching and what I experienced in leading and growing those different segments of our business and just, formalized it into a framework that I can now use to guide other leaders on their journey through business ownership as well.
And what are the typical companies that you're engaging with on the management consulting side or the no?
You mean size-wise?
Yeah, so we work with established, successful small businesses. So generally they're 3 to 20 million in revenue if they're a service-based versus product-based business. They're usually founder-led or they're a second or third generation owner. Maybe family business, may just be like a professional services firm like mine where it passes, to a next generation of owners that aren't even related. The commonality is that they're successful, and that success and that growth has created additional complexity.
Give me an example of a complexity you've come in and seen, because when you say complexity, I feel like that's the year I got my kicked in. I filtered myself, Alan. Do you like that?
I'm really impressed.
I know.
Courtney, obviously, he has hold you in high regard.
I know.
Because he normally does not restrain himself one bit.
But as I've grown, I feel like, I hit that trough. You're growing, and then sometimes you got to go down to go up. And I hate hearing that line, and I've had to live that so many different times. Tell me some of the struggles some people are going through, or take us through one example.
Yeah, I mean, this shows up where the leader feels like they're the default problem solver. Like everything flows up to them, or they have promoted other leaders underneath them, but they didn't fully prepare them. And so now they're paying them more money and they're still filling the gaps because they're not really equipped to lead. Or it looks like everybody's busy, everybody's, active doing things, but it doesn't seem to align with where we're actually trying to go. Maybe we have systems that people are following that haven't evolved to really, stay relevant to the way that we operate now. People are like thinking about tasks and not outcomes or results. It's not like people, maybe they're still profitable, they're still successful, they're still growing, but maybe the margins are getting squeezed a little bit, or the cash flow is getting more unpredictable. But a lot of it is just leaders, business owners feeling like, man, why does this feel so heavy? Like I'm the only one who cares about this bigger picture, who can actually innovate and solve a problem, or why do I always have to step in and fix things? It's that kind of thing.
Because they've set that pattern, though, right? So are you stepping in and teaching them how to develop leaders at that point and let go? I mean,
yes.
I'm sure letting go would be a big thing for you, Chris.
Alan, please, let's go back to Courtney.
So let's just use an imaginary person named Chris.
Who happens to own a handyman business in Atlanta.
And who can't let go.
Who wants to make sure that everything is going just right.
Because it sounds like if they're successful, it doesn't necessarily mean they're great leaders. I mean, it just could be that they're successful. But odds are they're probably decent leaders. But then if you have to scale and put people in positions of power, then if you're not teaching them how to lead, That's where the disconnect is.
Right. And
That's
some of those founders don't even at first see themselves as a leader. They see themselves as a founder, they see themselves as a business owner. Maybe they see themselves as an expert or a technician. They're really good at serving the clients or delivering the service, or, that have the deep expertise. Or maybe they're a physician or a chiropractor, or they're in, like, they're a roofing contractor, and they know how to scope the project, do the work, but they never really recognize that to scale to the next level, they have to be a leader, and they have to have other people leading as well. It's not always about leadership. It might be about a lack of visibility into the finances. They used to keep all the numbers in their head because they knew everything that was going on. And as things get bigger and they get more removed from the activity, they think, well, that can't be right. We can't be spending that on that. And it's like, well, actually we are. You just don't have visibility on it anymore. It could be about the people. But basically what we do is we help people to really diagnose what's causing the complexity, so that once they know the cause, we can guide them and help them to actually solve those problems. And once that path is clear, then they know what to do to move past it.
Where do you find that what's the typical size? Do they have 2, 3 direct reports? Do they have 4 or 5 people? What's that size where you find that these guys can't let go?
Yeah, I mean, I see it. So in our Scaling Leader program, we have this range of clients anywhere from 3 to 250 million in revenue. The higher revenue, those are product-based businesses, so that doesn't always mean that they have, tons and tons of people. But I mean, I've seen it with, 2 or 3 other leaders. I still see it when they've got 6 or 7 other leaders. Being willing to, as you said, kind of give up control. I think it's a challenge for most of us as business owners, not always for the same reasons. But if we think about especially if we've founded the business, or if we came in as a second generation leader and we had a new vision for the business. So we're like in my situation, I'm creating something different than what we had. What we're creating, it's rooted in our vision. It's rooted in our experience and our expertise. It's rooted in our core values. And when we start to get other people involved, we risk that they won't perpetuate it in those same ways. They can change our other leaders, other people. They can change our culture. They can change the way we serve our clients. They can start to change things. And what we built and created starts to become something we didn't ever intend. I think that's one of the reasons why people hold on to control. Sometimes it's fear. Nobody can do it as good as I can. Sometimes it's personality driven, perfectionists who think they're the only ones that can do it. There's lots of reasons.
It's kind of expensive to let other people learn how to do things right.
It has cost me a lot of money. I can promise you that.
Yeah.
It's cost me a lot of money to watch somebody else do it 80% of me. And you've heard that line out there in the consulting world. If they can do it 80% as well as you, Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time, then let them do it. I'm like, yeah, but sometimes it costs you. And you got to figure out and learn from it and figure out how to dial it in quick. Because I feel like, for me at least, I've been able to do some let go because I've got 2 general managers in place now. But you learn some mistakes. And because you weren't the one causing the mistake and feeling it, it's like a double compounded effect. You're like, damn it, if I was there, I wouldn't have done that. When the truth of the matter was, I probably would have. But it's hard. Yeah, I think it's hard to do that, the reflection and become a better leader and teach and coach without being irrational and emotional, which I was using in our training this morning, that we are irrational, emotional human beings. That's who we are. We're not logical. We use logic to satisfy our rational, emotional, our mindset.
You think your people were going, we?
Yeah, hey. Listen, buddy. All right. Courtney, tell us a little bit more about how everybody can find you, because we've got to come up and get our final 4 questions, get you going. How can everybody find you out there? I saw you on LinkedIn, but how can we find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn at Courtney Ronde. Our main webpage is forgeahead.com. If you've got listeners who are wondering, what is actually creating the complexity in my business, we have a free assessment It's assessments.forgeahead.com. And that you answer some questions, self-assess, and will help point you to where the gaps are and what you need to do next in your business. So assessments.forgeahead.com.
Assessments at forgeahead.com.
Assessments.forgeahead.com.
All right, got it now. Not at, dot. Assessments. Dot. Forgeahead.com. Great. You guys can always find Courtney Ronde. Did I say it right?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Huh?
That's impressive. I'll give you that one.
I did learn. Oh, this has been fun, man. But we got to talk more. I'd love to talk more about corn, Iowa, and those damn windmills that they have there that are doing the turbine generators. Holy crap. Because I flew in, I went to the Iowa State game. I've been to both of them, one in Kinnick and one down at Iowa State's home field. And I love those people. They are great people. You want to work with great people, you call Courtney, you get involved, you find out great people can help you get ahead. All right, let's keep going. Courtney, we've got to ask you our final 4 questions. What is a book you would recommend to our audience, The Adventure Team?
One of the books that has made a huge impact on me is Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. You familiar with that one?
Oh, yeah.
Very familiar. We've had Lisa McGuire, one of the Story Brand disciples for Donald Miller, who has been on stage with him right here in our hometown of Atlanta. We just saw her the other day. Beautiful woman, great lady. Yes, Story Brand's a great story. Good, love that book. Yep.
Yes, I love it. I'm in a mastermind, in Don's mastermind, and I've learned a lot over the years through just how you can clarify your message to better serve as a guide and find, people who need help solving the problems that you solve. So I think that's a wonderful book for business owners.
All right. What's the favorite feature of your own home?
I would say my back patio. We have a pool out there and comfy chairs, and it's just a nice place to sit in the morning or in the evening. That's probably my favorite.
Do you have a water feature in the pool?
No.
Oh.
I mean, there's water in there, but there's no fountain or anything.
Well, you can have something spitting out there. You could put like a spitting frog or something. I don't know. I was just asking because a lot of people like the sound of water. That's why I was going, Alan. I wasn't trying to fool shame. I was just asking.
Italian thing or something.
It is. Yeah. The bigger, the gaudier. Yeah. Don't talk to me about my HOA right now. What is wrong with a little bit of love to the fountains in Italy? I don't understand. I think I'm Italian, so I did not, but I did put a pretty big thing in our front yard, and we toned it back down. So now it's just got trees. So anyway,
do people throw pennies in it?
Yeah, right. Exactly. How else am I going to make money? 1 penny at a time. That's exactly. I think that's the way I started my business. But all right, let's keep going. So we've talked a little bit about customer service, and even in yours, you talked a lot about how your customers have got to feel the love, even in an audit, which is, let's face it, everybody feels like that's a colonoscopy. I mean, that's just not good, right? An audit's never good, but you can make it good, make it fun. Customer service. Alan and I are customer service
freaks.
Absolutely. So what's a customer service pet peeve of yours when you're out and you're the customer?
I think when people don't recognize the value of the experience, that the way we experience their store or their team, the way you make people feel through just the environment that you create. I think some brands, some businesses diminish that. And that's a huge pet peeve of mine. One of my personal values is beauty and aesthetics. And there are just some people that don't recognize that that's important and that can influence how people experience your environment or the people serving you.
That's a good point. Like if you went to a hole-in-the-wall Vietnamese place and the lady was, this little short lady saying, "What you want?" As opposed to having some flowers on the table would be a little nicer. Alan.
Thank you for that reference, Chris.
That's a topical reference, really. Inside joke, everybody. That's why you listen to Small Business Safari. Don't forget to tell your friends, tell your family, tell your kids. Everybody go out there, follow us. Check it out, man. This stuff is hot. We're having a lot of fun. Check it out, Courtney. Now we're going to talk to Courtney about something that we really love to hear about. Give us a DIY nightmare story.
I'm guessing she's never made a mistake.
Well, I am a perfectionist and an improver by personality, but my husband is incredibly handy. And so he's really the one who has done any kind of DIY or home improvement project, I don't know that I've
Now's
ever
your chance
tried
to throw him under the bus.
Let's just do it, man.
Just back it up.
He's not going to listen to this thing. Let's just take him out right at the legs.
He's so good. He's a self-employed contractor. He's very particular. Trying to think. I bet there was something like early on in our marriage when we were just learning. But I can't even think of anything because he's so handy, and I've been spoiled that if I have an idea for something to do, I don't have to do it because
even my perfectionist father-in-law cut my gas line going to the pool, and it was him, not me. And it was like, and it was so good because we did it in like 94-degree heat. They're all, my dad was in town, her dad was in town, and we're out back doing everything. And they're from Michigan, and so we're in this heat, and we're just digging a trench for a gas grill that I wanted to put out back, and he hit the gas line, and we sat down at dinner that night. At the end, he goes, "You know what? My only regret is that it wasn't you." See, I got so many, Courtney. I can tell myself a lot.
There was, so when I was pregnant with our first child, we were remodeling our house and he got a little behind. He still did it beautifully, but he got behind. And so I was, 2 days before my due date, 9 months pregnant, walking.
That's 3 months past nesting. Oh.
Walking this like 2x10 plank from, the master bedroom to the stairway because the floor was being refinished underneath of it. I got clear, up there and had to, and like I'd take out food and I couldn't get to the kitchen to get a fork. And I was just like, I was pregnant. He wasn't home. And I do remember that being a bit of a nightmare because
now we're talking. See, now we got things we can talk about when you go home and talk to your husband tonight. Remember this? Let me tell you how pregnant I was. Did you carry that kid? I did. You didn't. Listen, buddy, I couldn't get my food and you had that 2x10 in the way.
I'll allow it.
Thank you. That was a good one. Now we got to something. Now we're living more by life. Courtney Ronde, this has been great. Thank you so much. Ronde. I love that phrase. Been great having you on. Thanks so much for coming on the Small Business Safari. Guys, if you didn't learn something today, man, you weren't paying attention. Drive that truck. Just don't drive it into somebody. And if you see a cop behind you, do not punch it. Do not try to take off. They are going to catch you. You can see the cop shows. It's not good. Body cam footage is getting way out of control, by the way. Alan, I wasn't on it. Good news. He didn't have it on.
Well, that's because you have 8 student driver stickers on your bumper now.
That's impossible. You can't have 8 student driver
Yes,
bumpers.
you can.
If you do,
a picture of it.
If you do, you're not listening to this podcast because we go out there, we make it happen. Go take advantage. Let's make it a great week. You got to get out of here.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Small Business Safari. Remember, your positive attitude will help you achieve that higher altitude you're looking for in the wild world of small business ownership. And until next time, make it a great day.